Hello everyone, welcome to VBA Advanced. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about the file dialog box. Let me show you the dialog box itself first so that you can understand what I am talking about. So if I go to File Save As, this dialog box will appear through which you can select the file name or the folder, and if you go to open a file and browse, this file dialog box appears again. So this is the dialog box we want to use in our Excel models, so that whenever someone wants to create a zip file or wants to pick a file, instead of doing it manually, the user can invoke this dialog box and select the file from there. So let me show you the code. Here is the code. Let me get away from your site. Yeah. So I will go through the code. This is the macro, and we will be using certain items of this macro again and again. But command for file dialog box will remain the same. There are certain concepts I want to discuss with you, especially the with command. So let's start. So this is the sub vFolder, and then we have the brackets. After that, it's our dimension dim followed by a variable, and that variable is declared as FileDialog. And the second variable is vSelected, and that's a string. String is a data type, right? But what is FileDialog? So we discussed about data types, numeric and non-numeric, but there are other objects that you can declare in VBA, right? So we talked about data, but this is object type. We have talked about objects. Objects are like workbooks, worksheets, it may be ranges and other objects, including the ActiveX control. So here we are declaring a variable as an object. So dim vMyFolder, that's a variable as FileDialog. FileDialog is one of the objects. There are many objects in Microsoft Excel or VBA, but this is FileDialog. And for this command to use, you need to enable which library? You have to go to VBA References and invoke Microsoft Office Object Library, right? So set vMyFolder is equal to, this is the is equal sign we have used many times, and there is a variable on left side of this variable, which means we are assigning a value to this variable, but the method is a bit different. That's why I want to discuss this before going to Excel. This is the command is set, so we can assign a value to the variable without set and with set. We will not go into technical details, but you need to understand that programmers do use this word set, this function set, to assign some value to the variable. Here what we are assigning is not a value but a command, but a part of a command that is being assigned to that variable, and that command is Application.FileDialog msoFileDialogFolderPicker. So instead of referring this whole command again and again, we are using this set function to assign this command to one word, that is one variable, vMyFolder, right? So this is the assignment of the object or the command to one variable. Let's move forward. So then after that, after this setting, we have with and end with. What is with? You need to understand. This is the very conceptual matter, and this is being used by programmers again and again. If you go to internet, you will find lots of commands which take benefit of with function. So what is this with function? You need to understand, and it's very simple. When we talked about objects in VBA, we talked about their properties, right? Like in ActiveX controls or ActiveX objects, what we did was we set their font, we set their foreground color, their background color, and likewise. So those properties, when those properties are addressed through VBA code, they are addressed through with function. What I am doing is I am telling VBA with my folder, and my folder is, as we know, application dialog box. This is the dialog box. So with my dialog box dot title of the dialog box dot allow multi-select true or false. I am allowing multi-select of the objects, that is the file name or the folder, and then the initial file name. These are the three properties I am addressing through this with command. And then we have dot show. Dot show is the executable command. With this command, the file dialog box appears on the screen. Dot show. Okay. So these properties I have set, and then I am displaying the file dialog box. And after that file dialog box is displayed, I got some input, and that input is saved in vSelected. vSelected is equal to dot selected item. Whenever you see this dot, this means this is referring to this variable, and that is application.FileDialog, and so this is right. So whenever you see this dot within the with command, this means this is referring to the source variable. Okay. And after that, when I have done with this, I will say end with. End with means that the properties or the dialog box settings I wanted to do, I have done that. Those, even the input has been saved here before end with. So we don't need to understand more of it, because this will do the trick for us, and I will leave this command for you. You can use it as it is. All you need to understand is what is with. With is used to set properties of the variable of the object that is referred after the word with. Okay, after that, then we have NextCode, and we are going to display the selected file or folder. And then the last thing is, this is a good practice, then whenever you set something to some command or object, it is always helpful that before ending the macro, you should set it to nothing. This is a good practice. I encourage you to use it whenever you use a set command or a variable. It is always better that you clean up the variables before closing your macro. So let's go to Excel and try this command. So here is our Excel, and let's go to the developer. I have already macro present for this. So this is sub vFolderSelect dim MyFolder as FileDialog, dim vSelected folder as string. So my folder is FileDialog, and this is the command it represents. With my folder, title is select a folders, AllowMultiSelect is equal to false, dot initial file name is equal to ThisWorkbook.Path. This workbook is which workbook? The workbook that contains this code is referred as this workbook. We can see this workbook over here too within Microsoft Excel object. So this workbook.path, this is the folder from where the dialog box starts the view. So if show, then so let's start running with the F8 key with title is set false, multi-select is false, this workbook path, and remember what I said, dot show will execute the file dialog box. Here we go. So here we have this file dialog box, and you can see the title select a folders. So whatever we chose is displayed at the top, and we are here in VBA Advanced. So this is the folder where this file exists, and we have this folder name VBA Advanced as default, and OK and cancel. So let's make some changes. Let's stop this execution, and instead of this workbook.path, let's say C colon backslash should be the path. C colon backslash is the path, and then we can do what we can do is we can just execute it again, dot show, and you can see now this is local disk C. So this is how the folder, the default folder or the opening or the starting folder is controlled. So let's choose this temp folder within C. I have selected this and say OK, and let's run this further. In the message box we have C colon backslash temp, right? So this is how to select a folder, and let's now select a file. So this was FileDialog's folder picker, and now we have only one change, that is msoFileDialogFilePicker. So we are using another function, that is file picker. It is different from folder picker. But what we have here is dot title, it's same, AllowMultiSelect False. Dot initial file name, where we should start, is C colon backslash, and then the dot show, and after dot show we have the selected item assigned to the variable vTheItem, and then we have displayed the vTheItem. Let's run this. So in C, let's go to temp, and let's choose our output.zip. Okay, and then let's run it, and this vtemp outlook.zip is saved in our variable. Okay, so simple. I think it's not very difficult. So what about multi-select? Shall we try multi-select? Let's say we allow the user to save this multi-select, and let's select this. Let's save this to let's select couple of items and save them to two variables, vTheItem 2. Okay, we are using some bad practice and not declaring vItem 2, because you know that VBA can handle the variables without declaration, and the selected item should not be the one but the second. And let's display the item number second 2. What we can do is we can display within the same box, right? And let's say vItem comma vItem number 2. So okay, without using comma, I think now we can display this. No, this should be displayed vTheItem, and how about the and? Yeah, and will do the trick. So let's run this. So into temp we can choose the text file and the PDF file. Okay, and let's run this. I hope you can see this. So this is first item and this is the second item. There is a problem. I want to create a list in message box. The second item should come into the other line, and you can't see this, right? But okay, let me delete some spaces so you can see while we have the zoom. Yeah. Okay. So and the command for the next line is, as far as I recall, let me go and check it out. I will be back and you will not notice. Alright, and that is VB new line. So, and VB new line and list. So this will do the trick. So let's run it again. I hope you can see everything. Let's go to temp. You can't see, I'm moving to temp. Now you can see. Let's choose the PDF and the RTF this time. Okay, and let's go to our end. You can see in MsgBox we have these two lines now. So these the two selected items are displayed in the MsgBox. So this is how we select a file. The benefit is whenever you are creating a zip file, instead of using the pre-selected files, you can, if you want to give the option to the user, you can use this file dialog box. And I have another example for you. And what we are doing over here is, and that is, we are restricting the file type. So you can see this is the file picker. Then we have title, multi-sheet is false, and we have initial file name, whatever it is, and then dot filters add, and we have a filter, and we are going to filter the files available to us. Let's run this. So you can see this in the file type box we have please choose, and this is .xlsx, and if we have any xlsx in this temp folder, it will be displayed over here. So we don't have xlsx, so let's choose select a zip file. Stop and let's run it again. So now you can see this is .zip. We can see empty.zip and output.zip, and we can choose all files also. So this is how this works. We can also filter out the option. So I have a quick assignment for you. You can see the code. Tell me what variables are being used in this code, and those variables don't have v with them now. So it's your experience now that you tell me what are the variables there. Okay, take your time, right, exactly. The first one is fldr and the second is sItem. So these are the two variables used in this macro. So I always use v for your understanding, but most of the time when you go to net for the code, the programmers don't use the word v. You have to figure out by yourself with your experience that is it a reserved word or is it a variable. I hope you will be able to learn something new today, and if you like this concept, is it helpful for your practical work, give this video a thumbs up.